Hi, hello, and welcome back to another episode of my podcast. Now, what was I talking about? My name is V Noir, and this week I'm doing a little different, kind of, sorta. I'm talking about Brand New Day, the new Spider-Man movie. I didn't set out to watch this movie because I haven't watched any MCU film in like a really long time. I felt like I was getting like MCU fatigue, honestly, because I was like, I just I'm tired. And then the boys came out and I was like, ah yes, something a little different where, it's like thinking of the real cost of superheroes in reality and like how just in general the damage that they can do, the death toll that could happen because of just in general, it's like superpowered people and all this shit. And it's like, oh, they're fighting other superpowered people. That's crazy. Ooh, don't like getting, that's really bad. Um, I I was bringing up IMDb because I was like, let me at least have the information on the people behind this movie. But I'm getting like an ad for that new Eli Roth horror movie that he used AI for, and I'm like, so fucking disappointing, man. I mean, I feel like people don't like Eli Roth in general, maybe. I'm like, it's hard to keep up with like what's wrong with people, like what's bad about people. There's so many people in the goddamn world, and I'm like, unless he's a Zionist, you know, or I don't know. I'm like the guy that gave us the Hostel series and Cabin Fever and was in Inglorious Bastard. Oh, I'm also realizing that I haven't really paid attention to him in like since the early 2000s. So I'm also like, ooh, okay. So I actually have no idea what's going on with him. Okay, activism is real. I'm on his Wikipedia. Okay, he is a Zionist. Okay, so cool. I don't. This is a reason not to fuck with him. He. Oh, yeah, no. Because it's like I can understand, like, American um propaganda, it's pretty covert, so like I can understand someone falling for the whole thinking that like Hamas is such a bigger thing than it is when it's just you know, it is people retaliating against the harm done to them. That's what it is. That is what it is. That's what a lot of rebellious groups are. It's like when someone is in an abusive relationship and then they start hitting their abuser, it's like all of a sudden now they're on the same level of being a bad person as their abuser, and it's like no, they are literally trying to defend themselves against abuse. That is not the fucking same. And yeah, I'm like it really sucks. But yeah, I'm like, honestly, I was I was trying to be generous and give him the benefit of the doubt, but then he said some shit about like, if you're sharing Greta's anti-Semitic propaganda, you were dead to me, and it's like, oh yeah, fuck you, Eli Roth. Thankfully, he's not. Because for some reason I want to associate him with like Bloomhouse, even though it's like, no, that's not him. It's literally a guy named whose last name is Bloomhouse. But what's his first name actually? Boom. I just made that sound because I saw Israel. Oh, okay, okay. And I was like, please, for the love of God, not this be an Israeli thing. And no, it's because one of the founders' last name is Israel, and that is unfortunate, actually. Because I was about to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Israel's in like every fucking thing. It's it's really insidious. Okay, but who is Amy Bloom? I was about to call her Amy Bloomhouse. Her name is Amy Israel, and that is an unfortunate name. And she is she even a part of it anymore? But yeah, I don't know why I want to associate Eli Roth with Bloomhouse, but Bloomhouse Productions it's Jason Bloom. I thought his last name was Bloomhouse, but that makes sense that it's just Bloom. Uh, and Amy Israel, they were the original founders. And then I guess there's a bunch of other people. I know. Oh, I thought Atomic Monster, which is James Wan's production company, I thought that was just like his own thing. But and I thought that they combined, and maybe that did still happen, and now it's just a subsidiary. Oh my God, there's too many I's in this word, and my dyslexia said it's gonna go all over the place. It's gonna just be everywhere. You can't read this. Um, Anyway, but I even oh yeah, no, that was just like a jump scare because he was just like, "Oh, I didn't use that much AI in this fucking movie." And I'm like, "Oh, no, this is real bad. This is real bad actually." Of the one clip that I saw, I was just like, "Oh, this looks like one of those AI fucking ads trying to sell you some weird product, or it was like a combination of those, like when you get those ads for those games where the like mom is suffering and her children are suffering, and you got to help them by playing these like weird games or whatever. And then when you do actually try to play the game, um the game is so completely different like from the advertisement. So I'm like, at some point, I was like, I just want to help this fucking family. Like, god damn it. And then downloaded it. And then it's just like a completely different game. You're not even playing those puzzles or whatever the fuck those games are. It kind of pisses me off. And I'm just like, I just want to build them the house or whatever so they can get out of the fucking cold. You know, like my my empathy coming out and everything. But I'm on the brand new day IMDb, but for some reason this oh, it felt like the trailer was for the previous movie. Oh my God. So like I was saying, I hadn't watched mm, like MCU anything in a long time. I think the last thing I watched was like the first Black Panther movie. I didn't even go watch the second one because I was just still sad about uh oh my God. Why is his name escaping me? Snowfall. God, Ryan Coogler is phenomenal. Chadwick Boseman, and him passing, and then that movie being about grief and everything like that, and I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. Mainly because I think I was in the middle of grieving my dad anyway. But let's see, when did the second one come out? Da-da-da-da. Oh, that was it. Two. Oh no, it came out in 2022. So it was before my dad passed away, but I still was just like, eh, I don't necessarily want to see this. Because Chadwick Boseman wasn't going to be in it, and also again, I wasn't really caring. There was just like I was so tired because I was just like, there's so much MCU. There's the shows, the movies, the comics. I'm like, where do you even fucking start with all of this shit? I hadn't watched any of the Tom Holland Spider-Man because I was still attached to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So I didn't even watch like the Andrew Garfield one. I might have saw the one with Gwen Stacy. I think I did watch that one and I was like, "Oh, that's sad." But I mean, I liked Andrew Garfield being a bit more jokey. I thought that was kind of fun. But yeah, I was just like, Tom Holland, whatever. I like that he looked like a teenager. I'm like he looked really young in that first one and now he's like in his 30s and married to Zendaya. Also, talk about power fucking couple cuz what do you mean they're in like if if not for Timothy Chalamet being in like Dune, if Tom Holland was playing Paul Iraqi or whatever the fuck. I'm like, I haven't read Dune in so long. Um, oh, okay. I was like, is his name Dominic? And no, that is someone related to him. Yeah, he is literally 30 this year. And I'm like, that's cute. Oh no, it's his dad's name is Dominic. That's cute. That's wholesome. But talk about fucking power couple, because I'm like, they are both in the Odyssey with Christopher Nolan's movie. And that came out July around my birthday time. I'm like, Christopher Nolan loves to release a movie on my birthday or around my birthday. I'm like, happy birthday to me. Thank you, Christopher Nolan. Um, and then also this movie, which is doing amazing in the box office. And I'm also like, these two are both really great actors because, it's like coming into it, you wouldn't remember that they're even married to each other because of um how she's behaving. You can tell he's in love with her. And I think I'm gonna get into spoilers now of the movie. And I'm gonna try to just do it off of memory of like explaining the movie. But I will read the synopsis really quick. A thing I didn't do. I was just like, whatever. But synopsis: a forgotten Peter Parker lives alone as a full time Spider Man until mounting pressure triggers a dangerous change and a powerful new enemy emerges. And so I was trying to watch the new Gregor Rocky movie on Wednesday, but I left my house a little too late. I was going to show up. Oh, the new Gregor Rocky movie, I Want Your Sex. That's what it's called. And basically by the time I made it to the theater, I would have missed maybe like the first 5 or 10 minutes. Because I think this theater doesn't play trailers for that long. And Brand New Day was playing at a different theater, which was much closer to me. And I had shown up exactly when the trailers were done and the movie was just starting. So I was like, yeah, there was no way I was gonna. If this movie that also started at the same time is starting right now, there would be no way that I would get to that other theater and have the same level of timing. Like there would have been no way because it took 20 minutes to walk over there to the other theater with Greg Araki's movie versus 10 minutes to walk to this theater. And as I'm saying that, I'm like, damn, I'm kind of there's just theaters around me. That's so lovely. And I'm like, and it's none of these are AMC's or anything like that. Not like a big um theater company. Like it's not even like the uh is it Regency? Is it oh, Regal. Regal is the theater I'm thinking of. Not even like a Regal situation. It's just more of the art house, like cinemas, and also what is it? And then I have to get on a bus to get to a different theater um for uh a landmark theater location, and then I have to get on a bus to go even further to get to an AMC, and then I have to get on a train to get to a Regal. So I'm really just surrounded by these like art house theaters, which is kind of nice actually. I'm like, but they do still play the really big movies because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to see um this movie at all if it wasn't playing. Which is like, it's a toss up. The other theater that had the Gregoraki movie, that definitely has more indie films. They were playing Sadie's, I think it's called Sadie's Secret. That movie looks so fucking funny. I hate that I didn't know about it until it was like basically out of theaters though. But it looks so funny, and it's like it's so because I'm like, the person is obviously like a trans woman. But I think because the creator is secret, I think because the creator is a man. Is it Sadie's Secret? Um Pictures. Um I guess it's not Sadie's Secret. But ooh, they have their own thing. Maddie's Secret. It's called Maddie's Secret. The main character is played by John Early, who and this is his like directorial debut as well. He's like a comedian, a writer, and all this stuff. And it's like I think he's playing it straight where like I'm clocking Maddie as like a trans woman, but I think in universe she's just a cis woman, which kind of makes it a little bit funnier because there is this clip going around where she's just like, "How do you get your body like that to this very obviously like lesbian woman?" And she's like, "Are you hitting on me?" And she's just like, and she starts talking about how she goes to this like very queer like gym, and she's going to a movement class at the end of the night, and she invites Maddie to go there, and Maddie's just like, and that would be allowed, me, an ally. And it's just like, what the hell are you talking about? It's so it looks really funny. And when reading the description, you do find out what Maddie's secret is. It's not that she's trans. But no, it looks so funny. And I don't know why I brought that up. Oh, I brought that up because I was gonna say that um I believe this theater was showing this at their theater, and now they're not. But they are still showing Gregoroki's new movie, I Want Your Sex. They're also showing the Cat Video Fest, which is so fun. I'm like, there's so many film fests. It's really adorable, actually. Well, this is adorable because it's cats and it's videos, and it's a film festival about cat videos where you could go there for an hour and 10 minutes and watch cat videos. Basically. Actually, I'm like Cat Fest 2026. Because I'm like, that's so cute. I haven't gone, but I'm like, that seems fun. When is it happening today? 5:45? I'm not going. Oh my god, I'm so funny. Um, but oh my god, I like completely went on a tangent so many times. But yeah, oh my god, I'm like, as someone who hasn't been paying attention, especially to Tom Holland, Spider-Man specifically, Uh, I was just like, you do what you're doing. Tom Holland, yeah, Zendaya playing MJ. Love that. Amazing. I know that he got blipped out of existence in one of the Avenger movies. I know that he's back now. I knew that people forget him. I didn't know how that happened. I just thought it was like a part of him coming back alive, that people just forgot he existed. But coming into this movie not having any context, they did a really good job of like there's having strategic flashbacks and really good dialogue to kind of add this level of exposition without it feeling heavy-handed. Like maybe it felt heavy-handed to someone who's been like up to date with like everything, but for me I was just like, "Oh, thank you for saying that because I have no idea what's going on." It was really cool that one of the characters, I'm like, "What is her name?" Okay, I opened up too many tabs. Uh, Detective DeWolf. She's like the person that is helping him in the police and everything like that throughout the movie. We see her interacting with her children. One of her children is played by a trans, I'm going to say trans mask because I don't know if they specifically identify as a trans man, but I do know they are trans. And I think that's really wonderful. Even if they didn't really have that big of a role, but it's still just like, oh, this is really wholesome and adorable. And it's just like, okay, representation happening without it being like overt or whatever. And like in your face, but also I mean it's one of those things where you wouldn't have noticed it either way. It was the actor themselves saying that they are trans and playing themselves basically in this movie. I saw that as like a tweet. Um there was like a it was interesting too seeing the Punisher character because I'm like I do remember the Punisher not in his show, but I'm like, there's a different version of the Punisher than I'm remembering. Old movie, maybe? Okay, not 1989. What am I thinking? Punisher, Punisher, um, version. Different. I'm gonna keep this in. You're gonna hear me try to find. Um, no, I don't want this as a comics. Whatever, I don't care anymore. Um, I care a little bit. I'm like, I know the Punisher, but I don't remember from what. Not the latest Punisher, not his show and everything like that, but I know I remember him for something, and maybe I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna literally remember after I end this, and that's gonna be really funny. But I loved Peter. Well, I'll say Spider-Man. I'm gonna say Spider-Man for most of this because he wasn't behaving as Peter. He was behaving as Spider-Man and concealing his identity even from his own, like even from DeWolf, even from the Punisher. The people he worked with, he didn't know, like at all. Or he didn't allow them to know him on a personal level at all, which really is sad. It's sad, honestly. And he what he yeah, no, it's just like it was just him wanting to work, 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 work. we had gotten intel that he wanted to reintroduce himself to MJ so that she could, you know, build a new relationship with him even after, forgetting him and stuff. But he kind of chickened out on that as a means to protect her, quote unquote. But it's like you took the choice away from her when she explicitly told you before you got rid of her memories that she wanted to remember you eventually and that he should find her. And I think that's really awful and really selfish too, because it's like, yeah, you want to protect her and whatever, it's like dangerous to be around you because you lost someone, but that doesn't mean that you should isolate yourself in such a way that you have nothing outside of your work. Like that's not good at all. You should have a balance. And I was seeing someone else bring this up of like how this movie kind of tackles the whole male loneliness epidemic. And it's like in all of this, you see Peter or you see Spider Man going through only working, 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 and watching MJ build a new life and kissing someone at a housewarming party, and how that shocks him so much and stresses him out so much that his arachnid DNA sort of accelerates and expands more, or it mutates essentially. And now he's becoming more spider than man, more or less, and he's making these organic webs now, which of course was freaking him the hell out because yeah, now you're shooting webs out of your arms like Toby Maguire Spider-Man. That's kind of, it's creepy. He's so used to the mechanical ones. And honestly, my whole thing too is like, because the big thing about what's happening is that damage control um keeps getting attacked, right? And when Spider-Man shows up for the initial attack because there's a tank going, he's trying to stop the tank. The Punisher's there. Punisher can't help. Punisher is just trigger happy and wanting to like murder people the whole time. I guess that's his quirk. It's his fun little quirk he's got. Just wanting to murder and like shoot first, uh, question it later, and I'm like, are you a cop? So like, what's going on here, buddy? But either way, so when Spider-Man shows up, he is able to notice that someone is basically jumping from person to person because when they open the tank, it's an older woman in the tank and he's interacting with her, and then the person jumps out of her and jumps to another person and is escaping. And so, at first he's like, is this like mind control or something like that? And he's talking to Black Widow, Yvonne Evelyn or something. I can't remember her name. I knew of her as Black Widow. I'm like, this is Florence Pugh. I think she's played by Florence Pugh. Um yes, played by Florence Pugh. She's great, phenomenal. She's really funny, actually. But um she's like, this sounds like a little potato for you. I can't do a Russian accent. Um that you would handle, not necessarily a big potato like for the Avengers. And her office is a sauna, and I'm like, I love that actually because one, like she mentioned to Spider-Man, she can know if you have weapons or not, and now you're both vulnerable, and yeah, I'm like, that makes sense. And also you can get your a cleanse on, you can relax. And she's also questioning, like, hey, do you never take the mask off? Do you ever relax? Do you have friends even? But before we get there, um, so the person jumping eventually realizes that Spider-Man is able to sense them and like kind of see, that they're able to jump and everything like that, which is interesting. I'm like, what are the implications they're having here right now that like Spider-Man is actually like a mutant rather than a superhuman person or something, and this is how they're going to get away with like introducing the X-Men to the MCU because like that's the only thing that makes sense, because otherwise, like, why would he be able to sense the possession? Why would he start to mutate in this way? It feels like there's larger implications that they're trying to build up to the X-Men being introduced. And especially with like, okay, let me let me rewind a little bit because I'm like, let me get to the reveal. So, um, basically, the person possesses someone and is able to get this supervillain, I guess, Scorpion, somewhere else instead of where he was going to be held. And Spider-Man confronts the last possessed person that, this person has taken over, and they try to jump into Spider-Man's mind, and Spider-Man was able to repel them, and they're like, "Whoa, that's weird. Don't like that." And they get away and everything, and I'm like, "What happens after that?" Oh, okay. So then later on, he's fighting Scorpion, who is still possessed, and tries to there's something about VMAX. Something about VMAX. We don't know what this is. Damage control doesn't know what this is. We get the person who runs damage control, played by da, 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 Tarmel Tillman, who is such a handsome man. I'm like, oh my god, he's very attractive. And I also was like, okay, we're getting introduced to him. So the real villain is corporate greed and overreach. Like I literally clocked that when we were introduced to him, because I'm like, what do you mean you rehabilitated that team of people? What were they called? I don't want to call them Knife or something. But I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Is there a hyphen in Spider-Man? I always do like one word. I mean, maybe this Spider-Man is hyphenated. But I'm like, let's see, what are they called? They are called da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Oh, yeah. The Hand. They're called the Hand. And I'm like, okay, so you were able to quote unquote rehabilitate and give the Hand a new purpose, and then you're also going to take all of these supervillain um machines and reverse engineer them because you want to use them for good instead of the bad that they were used for initially. And I'm like, yeah, I'm supposed to believe that. Cool. Also hate seeing a black man run a evil corporation in this way. Apparently, I literally just saw a tweet about how he was race bent, and someone else had clocked not liking the fact that this person is being played by a black man specifically. And if I knew who he was actually, because the character is like an anti mutant person, like specifically in the comics. like Metzger, is literally like an anti-mutant person. So like, yeah, of course he's a fucking bad guy. He's basically a eugenicist, essentially. So but yeah, I was like, "Oh, okay, we're just setting up that it's gonna be the corporation that's bad." Fool. I'm on board. You're foreshadowing this already. Amazing. Wonderful writing. I'm like, you are supposed to just lay the framework out here. Cause like, yes, she's doing the person who's doing this is not great. There's a lot of damage going on. There's a lot of, people not remembering what the hell they even were doing beforehand going on. But she's trying to figure out this VMAX thing. It is really funny because Spider-Man comes in and he pulls it. Somebody pointed this out, but he pulled a Columbo of just like, and just one more thing. Do you know anything about VMAX? He truly pulled a Columbo with that shit. And I'm like, damn, I gotta get back into my watching of Columbo again. Cause I'm like, he really does just like very casually, like, just one more thing. I was leaving, but just one more thing. Do you know anything about, have you ever seen this thing? To Mexcler as he's leaving, just like as a casual thing. Because I'm like, that's the best way to try to get information out of someone, of just like casually bringing it up, not like interrogating someone. You're just like, oh, have you even heard of this thing before? Do you know anything about it? But yeah, so Scorpion is trying to, you know, do whatever. We're trying to figure out this VMAX thing. And I'm trying to remember if this happens. Actually, okay. So at this point, Scorpion is not able to do anything. And Spider-Man gets a little bit more aggressive because his arachnid self kind of takes over. And I almost thought this is going to be like um a segue into him being possessed by uh fuck, what the hell is uh, Venom. There we go. I thought we were getting introduced to like Venom for a second, but I don't think that doesn't seem to be the case at all. And I'm like, okay, we're not doing that. Cool, I guess. He's just literally mutating. I'm like, that's interesting that we're doing that, but anyway, so he's able to figure out who is doing this possession thing because he was able to map how far actually no, wait, how does he figure this out? I'm like he was able to figure out how far she could jump essentially. Which was kind of fucked up because she had jumped into someone who was piloting a helicopter, and then he like kind of left the helicopter hanging somewhere, and I'm like, "Well, what the fuck's going to happen to that guy when she's not in his body anymore?" Please think about it. And I'm like, we never got back to that. And I'm like, I'm trying to remember. Who is Gargan? Gargan. Uh, oh, he's the Scorpion guy. Okay, Scorpion guy. Oh, and he injured cops when he was beating up that Scorpion guy. Um. Okay. Okay. I was like misremembering some things. Oh, That's what it okay. There we go. I was like, what the hell am I'm like missing something here. So after he beats up Scorpion, he is like, okay, we got to figure out how to contain this. So he sneaks into college and sees David Banner, and he asks him after class how his inhibitor works and if there's a way to do like a universal one and all this stuff. And this is him just being Peter, not as Spider-Man. And I forgot that like David Banner technically wouldn't know who he is because everybody's supposed to have forgotten who Spider-Man is. So, who Peter Parker is in relation to Spider-Man, I guess. And Bruce Banner. Did I call him David Banner? Bruce Banner. I'm like, David Banner is a rapper. Bruce Banner was saying that like, you're kind of going down a slippery slope here, buddy. You should not be trying to make a universal inhibitor because then that means you could control anyone. And I'm like, fuck, that's also setting up a more dangerous thing later on in the movies if they are going to actually use this information. Because I'm like, I don't fucking know what's going on with the MCU. I don't think there's a main person helming all of these movies and trying to interconnect them in such a way. And I'm also very happy that Tom Holland fought to have this movie be grounded to what to just him and maybe interactions with some of the Avengers but not anything crazy because I'm like that, for one, would have been overwhelming. Two, would have been too many loose ends to tie up and too many just like different actors and different B plots going on that you'd have to try to finish up in like almost 3 hours, which this movie was already 2 hours and 25 minutes. And I was already like, what the hell is going to happen in this? Um, but anyway, so he goes about making a inhibitor anyway. The main thing about Bruce Banner's inhibitor is that it just completely turns off um his Hulk anything. Like he is just human 24/7. Nothing else. And which really sucks. And so what happened after that is he's able to get his inhibitor to work. No, well he's working on it still. But MJ gets possessed, and while MJ is possessed, um, the person who's doing the possession is in his house and looking at his things, and it's like, what are we doing? What's going on? Stop looking at my things. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I'm doing all that. Um, Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So he was making his own inhibitor, and then he was making one for the person who could possess. That's why he was trying to do like a universal one. And it's like, yeah, buddy, but that technology could be used against anyone at that point. But he's not thinking rationally. He wouldn't be in this situation if he was thinking rationally this whole time, either way. And um, so she's like taunting him through MJ. MJ is possessed this whole time, and it sucks because he thinks that MJ remembers him and wants to be with him and all this stuff, and they kiss and everything like that, and then we see MJ um taunting him and being like, and her just being like, there are no thoughts of you in her mind. Like nothing is up here about you. And you can see how much that broke him and everything like that. And like these people are acting because what do you mean Zendaya is taunting her real life husband on a rooftop, talking about how she doesn't love him and all this stuff. I'm like, these are probably real tears. Tom Holland is crying because, like, the thought of her not loving him, like, crazy. Acting. These people are acting. Also, the fact that people didn't think that Zendaya could act. What the fuck are y'all talking about? She is an actor. Serious. Whatever. But yeah, so she tries to kill MJ by having her like fall off the roof as a means to taunt Spider-Man. And while that's happening, he has his um sort of assistant, computer assistant. I'm not calling it AI, because it is intelligent, but that is not the reality we live in with our quote unquote AI. It's machine learning, and gets different cameras to track this person and is able to identify who this is. And this is when we're introduced to her being Jean Grey. And I'm like, oh shit. I didn't like legitimately, I didn't know that Jean Grey was gonna be in this movie. I was like, I don't somebody's just running around possessing people, trying to find this VMAX thing. I don't know what that means. I don't know. And then so I'm like, how do we get to the flashback? Because this was kind of a lot. So basically, he finds out that he's been dealing with someone who is on the younger side, who is able to possess people through telepathy, and he decides to take MJ and bring her to the Punisher's like hideout and just to protect her. And the Punisher's just like, who is she to you? Like, what? Why should I do this? He's gonna do it, and he brings up, Spider-Man brings up like Staten Island and how he saved his life and all this stuff. And I kind of love that they have this like banter about them and like what happened on Staten Island. Really, we won't ever know. And I'm like, good to have characters have their own inside stories because that makes them feel more real, like they have lived outside of what we've seen from them on the screen. I'm like, that's great writing. And so, what happens? Dun, 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 ba, dum, bum, bum, ba, da, dum. Dun, 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 dun. I'm humming because I'm trying to read. Because I'm trying to remember. There we go. Okay. Okay. Because I'm like, how do we get this flashback of her sister? Hmm. And I'm like, I think we just. I'm like, how do we get. Uh, mm. It's not really telling me on the Wikipedia breakdown of the plot when we get the flashback of her sister. Gosh, this is why you bring a notebook to a theater so you can write down plot points. um but I think it happens. Okay. Anyway, so we flash forward. Well, really what happens is Spider-Man gets his inhibitor figured out, especially after MJ is able to help him figure out the issue and everything like that. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. When you have other people in your life to help you, just spitball ideas and shit, it's almost like you can get things done. It's crazy. um, and so he leaves to go back to damage control again, the main headquarters, because it's under attack yet again. Only this time, the Hulk is attacking because Jean Grey has possessed him and has hulked him out, basically getting rid of the inhibitor on Bruce Banner and everything like that. So Spider-Man goes off. MJ tells the Punisher, like, hey, you should help him. Like, I'll be fine here. You should go help him. I don't know why you're letting him try to do this on his own. And then the Punisher also shows up right after Spider-Man does and does actually help him out, even though they're dealing with the Hulk, which is kind of funny. But um, the Hulk isn't able to break down the the vault that everybody, Mexler and all the other people, are hiding in, which would presumably have whatever the VMAX information is, because she's also there. She goes to his computer and tries to search up VMAX, and nothing shows up. And it's like, VMAX, what is this thing? Is it some sort of? I mean, I assumed it was like some sort of experimentation thing going on, and she gives up on the Hulk, possesses Punisher. At this point, Spider-Man was able to figure out that she can only leap or possess people within 33 feet of herself and each other, technically. And so he was like, hey, just don't try to be within 33 feet of her or the Hulk, really. But the Punisher still ends up getting possessed and using his. It was kind of funny too, because when she jumped in there, she's like, oh, there is something wrong with this guy. It's crazy in here. And she uses these things to blow down the wall that the Punisher had brought with him. And she is very close to possessing Metzler. And at this point in time, we assume that she did. And Peter Parker was able to put the inhibitor on her, and she also got darted and passed out. And Metzger's like, she was able to see what it meant. And Spider-Man's just like, while she was like passing out, she said something about Sarah. And Metzger's like, oh, that was like a coworker who tragically passed away that she might have been attached to or something. I don't know what that means. Uh, and so that's resolved. Everything's good. Everything's groovy. The big bad is taken down and is now in custody. Metzger is like, yeah, we're going to take her to the hospital and we're going to interrogate her, figure out what's going on and all this stuff. But let's not try to overwhelm her. He's talking to Spider-Man at this point. And, I'll call you in when, it's time for you to be able to interrogate her. We're going to let her rest. I'm like, you're going to really trust this man who is in a corporation? Please. I know he's handsome, but don't believe him. And I'm like, damn, that's why I hate that this character is being played by a black man, because like in the real world, we live in, this um we live in a world where whiteness is kind of everywhere and is usually the head of things and is usually the people in power, and they're the ones that are usually being sly and shit, and trying to make you believe that things are fine. I was going to say groovy, and I'm like, what am I in the 70s? The hell? um Things are fine and dandy and not at all, like, don't look behind the curtain, as they say in the, like, what the hell time period am I in? I was about to say in the Wizard of Oz. But anyway, so he goes back to the hideout, Punisher's hideout. MJ found the letter that he wrote to her and is just like, let me see your face. I can't be talking to you. I need to be talking to him, Peter Parker, as I do this. And she's just like, you were at the housewarming. You met me at the donut shop. Why didn't you tell me anything? Why didn't you say anything to me? I don't know who you are. Reading this, I know that she would have loved you, but I don't love you because I don't know who you are. And so she was leaving, and then she came back and she's like, "Can you actually take me home because I don't have a phone?" And, this is the point that has, like, been internet discourse because people are like, "Oh, he's better than me. I would have had her walk home." And it's like, yeah, and that's why you're not fucking Spider-Man because he actually cares about the well-being of people, and even though he got rejected and rejection sucks, but remember, she doesn't know who he is. He is a stranger to her, and he actually just technically kidnapped her honestly. But she was just like, I'm gonna trust you because you did save my life and you are Spider-Man, so I know of you in the context of you being a superhero. And we were swinging around, so it's not like you lied about being Spider-Man. But I'm like, yeah, no, he technically kidnapped her, left her with no way to contact her roommate or her boyfriend and or family if she needed to. And yeah, of course he's gonna take her back home. And when he does that, he is actually invited in to her apartment so that he can meet Ned as Spider-Man. And it's really cute because Ned made a app to track him basically. And it's just like, both of these people, even though they don't remember who he is, they do still have something in them that has either kept them waiting for him or, looking for him in Ned's case, and then MJ's case, waiting for him. And so they actually get to hang out and this was so silly. They did the okay, keep your secrets meme from The Lord of the Rings. And it was hella funny because Ned was like, "That's such a niche, uh, thing." But they were doing a banter of the actual dialogue that comes after "Okay, keep your secrets," and I thought that was really wholesome. But it was still just like, why are y'all on the internet posting what that is? And like, how old are you guys? Like, this is crazy. And like the whole time we see MJ, um sort of sketching something. And when Ned leaves the room, she shows it to Peter. I'm gonna call him Peter now. Like, wow, you guys do look like best friends. And that he should tell him and that Ned would be able to handle it. And, because they finally reach this level of honesty and they're building on trust, Peter decides to express to her that he apologizes because they did kiss, but he didn't realize that she was possessed. And she's like, I don't remember anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for apologizing. And I'm like, this is like, y'all are really building this trust and, you know, camaraderie between each other. But because of all of this, which I think people are fucking missing the point. But I'm also like, I'm kind of mad in general because I feel like it's like either people aren't understanding how things are working or they're being obtuse on purpose just to cause discourse or whatever. Because I'm like, if Peter didn't bring MJ back to her apartment, if they didn't have this conversation, if they didn't hang out, if he wasn't honest, he would never have realized that when Jean Grey possesses someone, they don't remember anything because the only situation he has experience with Jean Grey and possession is his own and how he was able to get her out of his mind, right? So he remembers what she was trying to see or what she was about to see. Um and just probably assume that that's how it went with possession and Jean Grey, but because MJ expressed she didn't remember anything, she just remembered being in her apartment and then being on the rooftop. Um, Nothing in between. This made him realize that Metzger was lying to him and that something more nefarious is going on. And I think this is when we get into a flashback, maybe, of Jean Grey and her sister. And I was like, sister? I didn't know Jean Grey had a sister. And then I was like, had a sister because she's probably dead. And what do you know? We do find out that Sarah is dead. We get there eventually, though. But I was just like, oh, okay, that's why she had a sister. But so, in this flashback, we see Jean Grey and her sister Sarah. They're at a park and everything like that. They're talking about how their mom, or Sarah, was kind of comforting Jean and saying, like, their mom wasn't a mom because a true mom, a true parent would love them no matter what, with like the changes and everything like that. So, you know, just to comfort her. And then Sarah was trying to sort of they play a game with each other of like possession and everything like that. And Sarah was like, I'll jump to that jogger over there, and does it, and it's really wholesome. They're having a cute time. And then Sarah decides to go get them some ice cream from an ice cream truck, and I'm like, love an ice cream truck. And all of a sudden, these armored trucks show up, and because of that, Sarah's like, I have to protect you, and possesses Jean to the point where um Jean is unable to protect Sarah in any way. And by the time Jean is unpossessed, Sarah is gone, everything is gone, and Jean is, unable to help. So we get that backstory. Can't remember at what point, but it's definitely much later in the film. And I think either during, it's like either when she's waking up and everything, and Metzger is, telling her about like, oh, we've been doing this with your sister and she's helped us a lot. And, we see Sarah's ponytail holder in the room that's like set up like a living room almost, but it's not. I don't understand this space at all, actually. It's kind of weird. And he goes out of his way to, they're using the inhibitor that Peter made on her in order to turn off and on her powers, which I'm like, and this is why you don't do that, Peter. And it's hooked up to their machines, and their base is exactly 33 feet away from like her level, and they induce her brainwaves to do the jumps essentially, because they're like, if we can understand this, then we could probably unlock this in other people and use this to something, I don't know, corrupt corporation shit. If anything, I'm shocked they're not gonna manufacture Peter's inhibitor shit, universal inhibitor, and try to get it on as many people as possible. But either way, so they force her to do these different jumps back to back to back. She's like literally locked down in this chair, and she's going through it. I'm like, this is really fucked up scene. And then she looks up and she looks at the vents and sees that this whole time VMAX was um this sticker on this vent that was getting rubbed off, and that this was the last thing her sister saw and said before she died. And so when she realized that, this pissed her off and made her angry and everything like that. I mean, pissed off and angry is the same thing. And so, they were increasing her jumping and everything like that. And then it was getting to a point where they're like, okay, maybe let's dial it down and everything. But because her anger was induced because of this realization, she is able to evolve essentially and is able to possess the person that was controlling the computer. And it got to a point where she could possess all of these people in a much wider space, for much longer. And so at the same time, Peter, as Spider-Man, went to this facility to try to rescue her and everything like that. And, at that point, it's just like, well, she's no longer a damsel in distress type of situation and is more of a enemy. And at that point, the Punisher is also trying to go help Peter as well. And he's like, um, I don't need you to do anything dumb. And I have ways of, tracking you. And he's literally using Ned's app to figure out where he's going. And when she possesses all of these people, there's sort of a barrier that I think we as the audience can see, but maybe not um, Punisher. So he is just like, okay, so from this point, I can't reach. And so he is on his own little mission to get to a rooftop with one of his sniper rifles and, is going off to try to shoot her, like take her down, basically. And so what happens is that Peter gets there. She's possessed all these people. She's possessed the hand at this point, and so they're fighting, and she's talking through them, and she's just like, these people went out of their way to make a machines that are basically anti-Spider-Man machines. Like, these people aren't your friends. Like, what the fuck have you been doing? Because they had weapons that could destroy the webs that he created and everything like that through the machines. And so it was getting to a point where like he was, you know, basically getting defeated. And this was a turning point where it's like, no, you have to embrace all of yourself and not just, um, you know, parts of yourself, because you are stronger when you are fully embracing every aspect of yourself, and nothing, even the um darker parts of yourself aren't bad. They are still you. It's like, when you realize that anger is just you, it's just your subconscious trying to tell you that something's wrong, and um you needing to address it, right? Like, or like when you deal with like your shadow self and shadow work and realize that like all of those things, they're not, it's not that they're bad, they are definitely parts of you that you need to shine a light on and address, and then also, integrate it into your life, because at the end of the day, it's like all of your emotions and everything is what makes you who you are, and you shouldn't think of one as good and one as bad when it's all who you are. And so we have this moment where he is fully embracing everything. He gets rid of the inhibitor. He goes full Spidey, I guess, and he integrates it into himself. Like his senses are heightened, but now he's able to sort of do this Matrix esque. Like it's kind of funny. I'm like, the Matrix is so iconic that, any sort of slow-mo dodge of something, it's just like, yeah. But it's not like they're copying it, it's just I'm reminded of the Matrix. But, this is just like he's more enhanced, he's able to see fully, and his natural webs are much stronger than any artificial webs, and he goes out of his way to subdue and not kill, and he does make it to where Jean Grey is being held, and she has like all this glass about to physically kill Metzler, because of what he did. And so they kind of have a talk, like he apologizes because he's like, this is all my fault because I didn't fully understand what you're going through. I'm so sorry that your sister died and everything like that. Trying to apologize to her. And, she's just like, this means nothing to me, like, and he's trying to explain to her, like, yeah, but you killing him is not going to bring your sister back. It's not going to do anything. And then she, because, at this point, she is more powerful, but she still wasn't able to possess Peter Parker, which is so interesting. Because I'm like, what about him makes it so that she can't do that? And he allows her to come into his mind and his memories. And there's a particular memory that he shares with her aunt May, who, is talking to him about how, like, yes, you are this, but you're special and I still love you and I still am here for you. But, um, he goes from being himself to being Jean Grey, and Jean Grey experiencing these words and, hearing this parental figure express love and concern for, the child in her life and her care. And just saying, like, and, just being able to have this heartfelt moment through somebody else's memories. And then it switches to, Peter also talking to her in his mind, and about how, like, you're not alone. I'm going to be here for you, and, we can be friends and everything like that. And then they sort of hug, and she gets rid of the glass around Metzger, and um sort of get rid as she's about to, like, get rid of the barrier and everything of, like, possession of all these people. The Punisher does take a shot because, oh, they're still in Peter's mind, actually, and the Punisher does take a shot, and Peter's able to sense this, and he moves to take the shot for her. And of course, it's like, oh, haha, I just said I would be your friend and I'd be here for you, and now he dies. You know how fucking crazy that would be? I'm like, I think all of the world would end, actually. It's like, oh, I finally made a friend who understands and, like, went out of his way to show me something like that in order to calm me down and be there for me, and now he's dead. Ugh. And thankfully people were showing sort of, like, I forgot what comic it was from, but, like, a comic where the Punisher does actually shoot and kill Spider-Man, and or thinks he kills him, or there's a comic where he does kill him, and there's a comic where he thinks he kills him, and when he thought he kills him, he basically goes into, like, a suicide by cop situation, or suicide by, like, sniper by SWAT team situation, where he's like, no, just kill me because he's a good guy. He's an innocent person, and apparently that's the whole thing with that character in general, of, like, never wanting to kill innocent people, or, people he deems innocent. So um basically, as Peter is, passing out from blood loss and everything like that, Jean tells him to look at her and everything, and it kind of jumps to the Punisher bringing his body into a hospital, and the Punisher being, like, really sad and everything, and it was just like, yeah, this is fucked up. And we do see Jean um take, like, a sort of final breath, and it transforms into Peter's breath and him waking up. So it's like we know that she was essentially able to keep him alive in there because of being able to possess him. And without him having to, like, fight to stay alive, she was keeping him alive until he would actually, like, wake up himself. And so, you know, the Punisher is there and he's crying, and Peter's like, "Are you crying for me?" And he's like, "No, I'm not." He's all gruff and everything. And he's just like, "I've never had a friend like that, and, you're this great person, you know." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so touched by this. I'm gonna cry." And he's like, "You look exactly how I thought you would look," because he doesn't have the mask on in the hospital and everything. which was funny. And, from this point, Peter is now wanting to be more open. And we have the scene where he's trying to help the wolf and everything like that, but he actually knows her children's names now and is like saying hi to them. And they're able to, Black Widow is able to get rid of Jean Grey's like location and everything like that for him. And it sort of ends with like him being in a better standing with the people in his life, at least his, the people he's working with. And also, um, he runs into Ned as Peter and is just like, hey. And they do their handshake, and Ned has like the muscle memory of it, and he's just like, what? And it kind of ends there, which was really cute because it's like, okay, so Ned is definitely going to question that and then believe whatever Peter says to him after that, because why the hell would he have the muscle memory of that if this is, he's only interacted with him once? So, and then there's like an after credit scene of like Spider-Man is in space. I literally only could think of that Tim Curry uh fucking clip, space. But yeah, I'm like, I think it was a pretty good movie. Action scenes were great. They did a lot of practical effects. I mean, I like it is kind of funny that it felt like they were leaning into how the game mechanics are, but also it's like Tom Holland is someone who is trained in dance and everything, so he, was able to keep up with choreography and whatnot, whether it's dance choreography or fighting choreography. I am again, in awe of what a big budget can do for a film, because I was like, wow, look at all these sets, because I could tell that a lot of it was sets, but it was still just like well made sets, and the lighting was pretty nice as well. I mean, it wasn't dark as shit like some stuff is. The night scenes were really nicely lit too. That was pretty good. What else? I'm like, the writing was good. It was kind of funny because there was like um apparently the actress who plays Jean Grey, she read the script and she was like, VMAX. Oh, it's the vent? Is the sister in the vent? And she's like, oh, and then she read the rest of the script and was like, oh my gosh, this makes more sense and this is way more impactful. And people were like, oh yeah, because she's so used to how the guys who wrote Stranger Things writes that she just was like, okay, it's just a vent. Like she was expecting it to not have a bigger payoff. Like she's like, okay, and I didn't watch Stranger Things. I don't I'm kind of glad I didn't watch Stranger Things because the ending sounded awful. I'm also just off of Netflix in general. Like I don't pay for it anymore. It doesn't have any appeal to me anymore either. I'm just like, there's not, like, I don't want to invest in something that one only has 8 episodes a season, two could get canceled after the first season, and I was gonna have a third thing, but I'm like, no, those are two very distinct things. Oh, three, you can't password share, and the price of your thing keeps going up. I'm like, fuck this. Fuck all of this, actually. I don't miss being on Netflix. Yeah, and I'm like, I'm kind of wanting to get into um the whole having your own quote unquote streaming platform of like putting all of your physical media onto this like cloud service and being able to access it that way. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Plex is really popular, but Plex is being fucking crazy and having its one time membership be like $700 or something. I'm off of that. I think there's another brand that's a little bit more popular, or company that's a little bit more popular, but I'm like, I'm gonna hyperfixate on doing that when I have more space to work with, honestly, because I think that would be kind of fun of having like my own, like building up a little server of like old movies that I haven't seen in a long time, or movies that are much harder to find, and I think that'll be fun. But I don't know if I'm gonna watch the Spider-Man movie after this or whatever MCU movie that will involve him, because I'm like, I don't know how they're gonna try to integrate that shit, you know? Like it's a lot. Also, I was like, damn, I kind of miss Stan Lee showing up in Spider-Man movies. I'm like, R.I.P. to that man. Okay, it's only got two writers on it. Chris McKinney, who, okay, he's written for American Dad, Community. He, and he's been mostly the one doing the Spider-Man since 2017, which is cool. And then it was co-written by Eric Sommers, who, okay, so does he not have notable things? He's also written on American Dad with Chris McKinney, which is cool. He co-wrote the Lego Batman movie. He and the he co-wrote the Lego Batman movie with McKenna and also co-wrote the Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle movie and has also been working on the Spider-Man movies with him. And huh, that's pretty that's kind of nice. It's like, oh, my coworker that I've been working with for a while since American Dad. Yeah, since American Dad. And then it was directed by Dustin Critton. And what else has he done? He's done Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which is a movie I didn't watch. And he has worked on the Wonder Man series, which is something that just got canceled. Oh, he's won. 47. He. What else has he done? He seems cool. He was like doing the indie route, and then actually, yeah, that's kind of crazy. What is Just Mercy sounds familiar. Oh, yes. Okay. He did the Michael B. Jordan bio pic. The Glass Castle sounds familiar. That's also a bio. Yeah, no, this is kind of crazy. He hasn't really done that much actually. So it's kind of cool he got to direct this. And who did cinematography? Brett Pollock, who has also done he did the pilot episode of This Is Us, which I hear is good. Actually, okay, so he also was a cinematographer for Just Mercy, which is how they probably um met up. Actually, no, because he was also doing This Is Us too, I guess. And he was also doing the cinematography of Wonder Man, which is cool. I'm like, damn. It sounded like that show was good, and it was also going to be. Um. Okay, so he's actually the cinematographer for Dustin in the beginning of his career in his like I Am Not a Hipster, which was like his directorial debut, I believe, and an indie film that came out in Sundance. So they worked together in like 2012, came back together in 2017 and 2019, and then just did this together in 2024, which is pretty cool. Love that. I'm like, I do like the diverse casting in this. Um, Still kind of sucks that, the main bad person was played by a black man, but what can you do? He still did a good job. He's very handsome. Um, I'm like, what else is there to say? I'm like, I can't have this be 2 hours and 25 minutes. I mean, at some point it did feel kind of long, but um, I definitely was just like, okay, now I'm in it. It's not too bad, but I still was like, oh, this is gonna be a long one. But it didn't feel like it dragged too much. And it was enjoyable. I'm like, damn, I need to see more action movies in theaters because I've been like kind of sleeping on action movies a bit. So I'm gonna try to do that more and not just watch like horror and drama, I guess. And then yeah, I'm gonna end it there. Thanks for listening. You can find me on Instagram at v_noir_. Check out my podcast archive, www.nwwitapod.com. And figuring out my Patreon. We'll come back to that. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Bye.